Welcome, everybody, to Wings for Life and our program for this evening. You might notice that Ann Edenfield has taken a break for the evening, and I am Marjorie Krebs, and I'll be your host and facilitator for tonight. We are so glad that you've joined us via Zoom, via Facebook Live, via your iPad, wherever you are. So welcome, and we'll get started with tonight's program. And the topic for tonight is supporting your children and yourself during this remote learning environment. I'd like to introduce myself. As I said, I'm Marjorie Krebs. I am a professor at the University of New Mexico, and I teach teachers, and I'm very proud to be doing so, and that's why I was so excited when Ann asked me to present this program on how to support yourself and your children during remote learning. This is such a challenging time. I am a teacher, but I'm also a mom, and I'm a grandmother, and I know the challenges that you are facing right now with your children in remote learning. So we're going to talk about what that's like, and also how to make things better for yourself and for your kids. So let's get started. When you first heard your child would be learning online, I'm guessing this was the expression for most of you. I know it was for me when I found out I was going to be teaching my own University of New Mexico students all on Zoom, all remote, and not be able to be there with them. I cannot imagine all the thoughts that ran through your head when you first heard that. How am I going to do this? What are we going to do about the internet? I've got to go to work. We are not going to have time for all my kids in this family to have space online. Where are we going to put everybody? Everybody needs some quiet time. All of those questions and more, I know, ran through your heads, as they did mine. The dogs barking in the background, all of that was going on. So we're going to talk about how it felt and what you can do to just relax. Things are going to be okay. This might have been what you pictured: excitement, engagement, kids leaning into their computers, really anxious to learn. Some people actually had this experience. Others had this. I especially like the one with the kid and the parent both in tears at the bottom of the screen, and I know many of you felt this way, and this may actually be a drawing of you and your family. So one thing to know is that you are not alone in this. All of us as parents and grandparents are trying to sort this out. One thing to remember is this is new to teachers too. Every teacher this year is a new teacher, no matter if they've had 35 years of experience or 6 weeks. Everybody is new to this, and we all need a little patience, and we all need some grace. So before you let things get too out of hand, please just take a breath and recenter yourself and think about some of these tips we're going to share tonight. I do know that some days you feel like this. I love the fact that the kid's cord is even wrapped around his leg. If he tries to get up, he's going to dismantle the whole thing. So it's okay if you are exhausted with remote learning at this point. Again, you're not alone in this story. I do want you to know the struggle is real. And as the PowerPoint slide said, there is too much to learn for teachers and for students. And please remember, there is no perfect curriculum and no perfect way to learn everything. Some of you really may be finding out that your students are doing better in this environment. They're not distracted by the social issues at school, and they're able to focus on their learning. Some are really engaged in the technology and really are able to connect with the content, move at their own pace, and not have to worry about other kids in the class. So some kids are really thriving here, but other kids are really struggling. They really miss their friends. And sometimes they've just had too much time around mom or grandparents, and they just need a break too, as do you as parents. So I hope if you're sitting watching this tonight with your families that you're able to take a breath, laugh a little bit about the situation, and come out with some ideas of how to work together for this to be a successful year for everybody. I do want to share also this quote from a teacher who said, "Every day there's new apps and platforms coming out, and they all look so good. The other teachers at my grade level are using so many new things. I feel behind. I'm afraid my students are suffering." So just like you're worried about your kids, your teachers and your children's teachers are also worried about your kids, especially if they don't log in, if they don't show up, if they haven't heard from your child for a day or two. Your teachers are concerned. And you'll hear me say this over and over again tonight. Communication is so important. Your teachers should be communicating with you as parents about their expectations, but you should also communicate with the teacher. Please just don't let your child disappear, because that teacher is worried about you and your child, and certainly it will help them to be able to catch them up if they know what's going on. This is a partnership, even more so than when we had our students face-to-face in classrooms. So, what do? I've got my kid with their head down on the computer. I can't get him to do anything. Here are some things to set up your family for success in this remote environment. First of all, every child should have a learning station. It doesn't matter if it's a pillow on their lap on the couch. Everybody needs a set space to be for their learning. I would also recommend that you get all the tools that the students need for success. Are they supposed to have a spiral notebook? Do they need a pen or pencil? Some teachers have given them whiteboards and wipe-off markers. Is all of that available, even in a little basket or some sort of notebook that's right next to their workspace? If you have several children working at the same time, please work to find some space for each child so that they can own that space, keep all their materials there, and nothing gets lost. All of these steps are designed to help you reduce your stress. Also, set an alarm. Get one on your phone, buy one at Walgreens, set an alarm, wake your child up. Make sure, and even better than that, have your child set the alarm and wake themselves up. Teach them that responsibility so that they are aware of their own time schedule and can be responsible for themselves. Make sure they have enough time to get dressed, brush their teeth, make their bed. Don't skip that. Teaching that responsibility is really, really important. Have a good breakfast, prepare their materials, and log into their classroom learning site. Make sure you set up enough time for all of that to happen at least 5 minutes before you're to log in for the class to begin. And students, if you are watching this tonight, I would like for you to think about what parts of this can you take ownership of. It's mom and dad and grandparents have already gone to school. They've done this. This is your time. So what are you going to take responsibility for? And this number 4 is the note about 5 minutes before class. My dad always said, and I'm sure many of yours too, if you're on time, you're late. So be there early. That helps you with, let's say your computer needs to be charged and you forgot to charge it last night. That gets you 5 minutes to get that extension and get that plugged in so that you're still ready to go. Being ready to learn is so important. If it's possible in your home, have the camera on. That is a level of accountability for your students to be engaged. And I teach teachers every Thursday night. And one of the things that they are most concerned about is student engagement. And one issue they bring up all the time is, if my students' cameras are not on, I don't even know if they're sitting there. So one way for you to make sure your child is engaged and accountable is to have the camera on. If you don't like what's in the background, then students, get some paper and draw some cool artwork and put up a display behind you on the wall so that you've got something fun behind you. Put a curtain back there. I understand if you don't want people to see your kitchen or your bedroom. I absolutely get that. But create something fun to put back there so that you can feel comfortable having your camera on. And parents, be interested in what the kids are doing. It's so helpful to have you asking questions about what they're doing, what they're learning. But I learned an important thing just the other day, and that is avoid the how was question. How was school? How was math? What's the answer to that? Oh, fine. That's what you get when you ask how was. If my husband asked me, how was cooking dinner? What am I supposed to say to that? Fine. But if he asks me, what kind of spices did you use? How did you decide how long to cook that casserole? Ask some meaningful questions, and you'll get meaningful answers. One good question to ask is, to your child, what questions did you ask today? That will help you know what they're learning, and also maybe some questions that they have that you could support them in at home. I also recommend checking in periodically. Now, believe me, I know a lot of you have jobs outside of this, so I know that you are wondering, how am I going to do this while I'm working and my kids are working? Take a break whenever you can and just check in, but don't hover. Students, this is your responsibility. You're the one going to school. So the last, and probably I should have put this as number one, between those online sessions, go outside. Everybody needs a breath of fresh air, and it doesn't matter if it's 25 degrees. Put on a coat, put some socks over your hands, go get some fresh air. We learn so much better when our blood is flowing, and it doesn't flow when we're sitting. It pools in our buns and in our feet. That doesn't get the blood to our brain. So get up and get moving. And parents, I would help you too, especially if you're working online. The most important thing is to try and relax and be supportive. So I know it's very difficult to relax, but I want you to think about the importance of the parent-child or the grandparent-child relationship that you have. At the end of this remote learning experience, you don't want your relationship with that child to suffer. You want it to be even stronger because you've been able to spend so much of this time together. So take a step back, realize that there is no perfect curriculum. Nobody decided that in second grade everybody should be able to capitalize your proper nouns. Well, they did decide, but it's not based on anything. In fifth grade, you're supposed to know all your states and capitals. You know what? If it doesn't happen this year, they will catch up. So don't heighten everything to just a panic mode. That is not helpful at all. And we do not learn well under stress. So if students are feeling stressed, even if they are logged on and their camera's on, they may not be learning because they have stress in their lives. So here are some ideas about how to relax. After this presentation, or later this week, I would like for you and your family to participate in this little exercise. Take out a piece of paper, have something to write with, create 2 columns on your paper. Areas in my control, areas out of my control. And then just brainstorm and think of a few examples. So here's some ideas that I came up with. Areas outside my control. I cannot control the pandemic. I cannot control remote learning, and my kid is having to participate in that. I cannot control my work schedule and how that conflicts with my child's school schedule. Even learning gaps. Maybe your kid isn't learning the states and capitals very well. You know what? Let it go. The content knowledge of what your child is learning, that is up to your teacher. You can't control the dog barking in the background or the weather. So think of a list of things like these that you have that are absolutely out of your control. And then take a step back and think, but there are some things I can control. One is my child's health and safety. Wake up times. Making sure they have healthy meals and making sure I know where the food pantries are and where the sources are for food that I can get for my family. Providing that space for learning, no matter how small. Most importantly, you can control your attitude, your words, and your actions. So I want you to really think about what's coming out of your mouth. Would you work well under that environment? I want you to be the type of parent that you would want your boss to be for you. So think about encouragement, support, positive comments, not always negative and being difficult with your child. How can you turn it around to be a positive? Be the type of parent you would want to have someone parent you. The last thing is that you have within your control is asking for help. So here are some places to go for help. If your iPad or computer isn't working, if you are an APS, you can see on the screen there is an APS technology desk. There's a phone number. There's an email. There's even a person's name, Yvonne Alcon. I do not know her, but I am just hoping that she is a blessed person because I know she is being inundated with emails. When you log on, make sure there's a white tag on those APS issued devices. Make sure you have the model number and the APS property number. That will speed up the help that you'll receive. If you have trouble logging in, or if you have issues with Google Classroom, Google Meet, Edgenuity, Seesaw, any of those software problems, then you can also email Yvonne or the service desk. And there's also an email called edtech@APS. If your student needs academic support, you're not supposed to know all of this. My goodness, when my kid was in chemistry, I had no idea what was going on. So there is a great service called APS Dial a Teacher. The 2 phone numbers are there. 505-344-3571 is the local number, or the 800 number, 947-8839. They are friendly and they are free. So please make sure if your kids have content questions, just call and ask a teacher. They're available Monday through Thursday, 5:30 to 8:30. One of my grad students is one of these Ask a Teacher teachers, and he is fabulous, and I know he's very supportive to all the kids who call in to him. And then if you're outside of APS, your district will have the same kind of support. The other thing I don't want you to forget is contact your child's teacher. That is a great source of support. So here's one of my favorite quotes. It's from the book called The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse by Charles Mackesy. The boy says, "What's the bravest thing you know?" And the horse says, "To ask for help." The boy says, "Why is that the bravest thing you know?" And the horse says, "Because it means you're not willing to give up." Ask for help. Remember, you're preparing your child for a successful future. And as the slide says, your modeling, your guidance, and your attitude does make a difference. So use that power that you have as a parent to encourage your child and make them have a successful future. Thank you very much.